September 22, 2012. Brunswick, Australia. 1:45 a.m. She walked alone. Her heels clicked on the quiet sidewalk. The street was dark. Empty. Silent. A man followed her, step by step. She looked back. Just once. Then, she vanished. The night was cold. A breeze moved the leaves. No one heard a scream. Her phone rang. No answer. Her husband waited. But she never came home. Where did she go? Who took her? And why? She was just walking home, from a bar. She was just 5 minutes away. This is not a movie. This is real. Every part of this story is true. So ask yourself. If it happened to her, could it happen to you? Subscribe to Unbelievable True Story. Because monsters don't live in the movies. They live next door. And the next story might be about someone just like you. Jill Meagher was 29 years old. She lived in Melbourne, Australia, with her husband, Tom. They had only been married for a few years. They were happy. They had dreams. Jill worked at a local radio station in Brunswick. People liked her. She was warm. Funny. Kind. She loved books. She loved music. She loved her job. Jill was from Ireland. But Australia became her home. She had friends. A good life. A future. Every morning, she smiled as she walked to work. Every night, she came home, hugged Tom, and told him about her day. It was a safe place. A quiet neighborhood. Nobody expected anything bad to happen there. September 21, 2012. It was a Friday. Jill had a long week at work. So, like always, she joined her coworkers for a drink. They laughed. They shared stories. They joked about silly things. The pub was only 5 minutes from her home. Just a short walk. Tom texted her. Have fun. Don't stay too late. She smiled at the message. She replied, just one more drink. I'll be home soon. It was the last message he ever got from her. Around 1:30 a.m., Jill said goodbye to her friends. The streets were quiet. The lights were dim. The wind moved softly through the trees. She walked alone. She didn't know that someone was watching her. A man stood nearby, under the shadows. He saw her. He waited. He followed. A security camera caught her image. Jill was walking. Calm. Unafraid. Behind her was a man. He was getting closer. Step by step. That camera was the last time anyone ever saw Jill alive. Tom Meagher woke up around 3 a.m. Jill wasn't home. At first, he didn't worry. Maybe she stayed longer with her friends. Maybe she lost track of time. He texted her. No reply. He called her. Straight to voicemail. He waited by the door. He checked the street. Still nothing. The night felt too long. At sunrise, fear began to creep in. By morning, Tom called Jill's friends. Have you seen Jill? Did she stay with someone? Everyone said the same thing. No. She left alone. She said she was going home. Tom called the police. He told them Jill never made it home. They asked, was there a fight? Did she ever leave before? She would never just disappear. He knew something was wrong. Deep down, he already felt it. Police searched the streets. They knocked on doors. They checked every camera in Brunswick. Then, they found something. A blurry video. Jill, walking alone. A man, close behind her. They zoomed in. The man wore a blue hoodie. He turned his head for a second. Just enough to see his face. Police showed the image to the public. Do you know this man? Everyone started talking. Everyone started fearing. The streets didn't feel safe anymore. Melbourne was shocked. Thousands shared Jill's photo online. People searched alleyways, backstreets, and parks. Posters of her face went up everywhere. Her smile looked back at them. But no one knew where she was. Every mother, daughter, wife, and sister in Brunswick asked the same question. Could it happen to me? Tom Meagher stood in front of cameras. His eyes were red. His voice was shaking. I just want my wife back, he said. If anyone knows anything, please, tell the police. He held on to hope. But every hour felt heavier. The silence was too loud. And the fear kept growing. Days passed. No sign of Jill. Then a call came in. A woman said she recognized the man in the hoodie. She had seen him around before. His name? Adrian Ernest Bailey. Police dug deeper. They were shocked by what they found. Bailey had a long history. He had hurt women before. And yet, he was walking free. Why? How? Police moved fast. They arrested Bailey and brought him in for questioning. He denied everything. I didn't see her, he said. I don't know who that is. But detectives kept asking. Kept pressing. And finally, Bailey broke. Bailey looked down at the table. He whispered, I followed her. He told them how he spoke to her on the street. How he forced her down an alley. How he took her life. He led police to a grave. 50 kilometers away. There, they found Jill. News broke across Australia. Jill Meagher was dead. The country wept. Strangers cried in the street. People brought flowers. Candles. Notes. Her smile was everywhere. But she was gone. Adrian Ernest Bailey. 41 years old. Tall. Muscular. Short hair. He looked like any man you'd pass on the street. Someone who might hold the door open for you. Someone who might say, good morning, and smile. But that smile hid something evil. Bailey wasn't just a killer. He was a predator. Before Jill Meagher ever came to Australia, Bailey already had a long record. He had hurt women. Attacked them. Threatened them. In 2000, he was jailed. He had raped 2 women. Brutally. Without mercy. He was sent to prison. He was supposed to stay there for many years. But he didn't. He was released early. He walked free, even though police knew he was dangerous. After leaving prison, Bailey didn't stop. He kept finding women. He followed them. He waited for the right moment. He attacked again. Again. And again. But many of these women never got justice. Some were too scared to report him. Some did, but their cases didn't go to court. He slipped through the cracks. He became invisible. Until he met Jill. On the night of September 21. Bailey saw Jill walking alone. He had followed other women before. But this time, he didn't stop. He said he tried to talk to her. She didn't want to speak. He pulled her into a dark alley. He forced her to the ground. She fought. She screamed. But it was late. No one saw. No one heard. And then, she was gone. Bailey drove far outside the city. He carried her in his car. Dug a shallow grave. left her in the dirt, and drove home. He washed his clothes, threw away her handbag. He even helped search for her the next day. He walked around Brunswick, pretending to care. But he knew the truth. He knew where she was. When police found Jill's body, people across Australia broke down in tears. A stranger had done this. A man no one knew, but many had passed by. Women looked over their shoulders. Men looked at each other differently. Everyone asked, "How did this happen? Why wasn't he in jail? Could it have been stopped?" Australia demanded answers. Reporters started digging into Bailey's past. They found more women, more pain, more crimes. People were angry and scared. If the justice system had worked, Jill might still be alive. Thousands of people came to Brunswick. They walked together, silently, respectfully, holding candles. Some held signs that said, "Enough is enough. Justice for Jill. Make our streets safe." Tom Meagher was there. He didn't speak, but his face showed everything. Loss, grief, anger, love. He walked beside the people, carrying her memory. Bailey was charged with murder and rape. He stood in court. He showed no emotion. He pleaded guilty. The courtroom fell silent. No trial. No lies. No excuses. Just a cold, quiet confession. The judge looked at Bailey. She said his actions were evil, cruel, unforgivable. She called him a violent sexual predator. Then, she gave him a life sentence. He would never walk free again. Not ever. Jill Meagher was not just a victim. She was a wife, a daughter, a friend, a voice. Her story started a movement. People spoke out. Women shared their fears. Laws were questioned. Justice was demanded. Jill didn't die in silence. Her voice still echoed. Even in death, she made the world listen. Tom Meagher lost the love of his life. He stayed in Australia for a time. He tried to heal. Tried to speak out. Tried to fight for justice. He gave speeches. Talked about violence. Tried to change things. But the pain never left. After Jill's death, one question echoed across Australia. Why was Adrian Bailey free? He had a record. A long one. He had attacked women before. He had been to prison. So why was he walking the streets that night? Why was a man like that ever let go? The answers were hard to hear. And even harder to forgive. Bailey had raped multiple women in the past. In 2000, he went to jail. He got 11 years. But he didn't serve all of it. He was released early. On parole. That means, he was still being watched. Still supposed to follow rules. Still on a short leash. But the leash was too loose. Bailey was caught breaking those rules. More than once. He got in fights. He threatened people. Still, no one locked him back up. He told his parole officers lies. They believed him. He told them he was working. They never checked. He told them he was better. They wanted to believe it. But he wasn't. In the months before Jill's murder, Bailey attacked other women. He raped one just weeks earlier. She survived. She went to the police. She told her story. But that case moved slowly. Too slowly. No one arrested him. No one warned the public. And then, he saw Jill. After Bailey's arrest, More women came forward. One said, "He grabbed me near a park." Another said, "He followed me for blocks." A third woman had even gone to court before. But he didn't go to jail. The courts gave him chances. Over. And over. Again. Every time, he fooled them. Until it was too late. Australians were angry. They marched in silence. But their message was loud. Change the system. Protect women. Stop the violence. People asked. How many warnings do we need? How many women must be hurt before we act? Who will be next? Tom Meagher was quiet for a while. Then, he spoke out. His words were powerful. He said, "I don't just blame Bailey. I blame the system that let him walk free. I blame the people who gave him chances. I blame the silence." His voice shook with pain. But also with purpose. He didn't want revenge. He wanted change. Jill's murder became more than just a crime. It became a mirror. People saw their fears. Their anger. Their sadness. And they saw how broken things had become. Women shared their stories. Stories of being followed. Being touched. Being scared to walk home. So many had stayed quiet. But now, they were done being silent. The government came under pressure. They had to answer hard questions. Why aren't violent offenders tracked better? Why are rapists getting out early? Why aren't victims believed? Reports were written. Cases were reviewed. Some rules changed. But not enough. Because even after Jill's murder, Bailey was not the last. Just a year later, in another town, another woman went missing. The man who hurt her had a record, had been in jail, was let out early. Again. It was like watching the same story, over and over. The streets of Brunswick grew quiet again. The cameras left. The candles burned out. The posters faded. But something had changed. People still looked over their shoulders. Women still checked behind them as they walked. And families still held each other tighter at night. Jill was gone. But her story was not. Jill's desk at the ABC radio station sat untouched. Her chair, still pushed under. Her notes, still sitting there. Her voice, missing from the room. Colleagues cried in silence. They left flowers at her microphone. They played clips of her past reports on the air. One anchor whispered. She gave others a voice. Now, she's the one we speak for. Adrian Bailey was sentenced to life in prison. But that wasn't enough for many. Because he had taken more than just Jill's life. He had taken a city's peace. A family's joy. A husband's heart. Even behind bars. His name still chilled the room. People wondered. What if the system had worked? What if someone had spoken up sooner? What if Jill had taken a cab that night? But what ifs couldn't bring her back. Tom Meagher tried to move forward. He left Australia. He changed jobs. He stayed out of the media. But pain followed him. Grief doesn't vanish. He once said. Some days, I forget to breathe. Other days, I feel her everywhere. He remarried years later. But he always carried Jill's memory. Not just as his wife. But as a warning to the world. Many still ask. Why didn't the parole board act sooner? Why wasn't the earlier rape case solved in time? Why are women told to be careful, but men aren't told don't harm? The questions remain. Heavy. Haunting. Unanswered. In Brunswick today, the street where Jill walked looks the same. Shops are open. People laugh at cafes. Life moves on. But every now and then, a woman walks home alone. She clutches her bag tighter. She remembers Jill. Even if she never knew her. Today, outside a quiet building in Brunswick, a small plaque sits near the sidewalk. It reads, "In memory of Jill Meagher." A reminder that everyone deserves to come home safe. People stop and read it. Some cry. Some pray. Some just stand still, haunted by how fast a walk can turn into a nightmare. Have you heard this story before? Would you have trusted the system? Would you have believed a man like Bailey could change? And if it happened in your city, would you feel safe walking home tonight? This is Jill's story. It's real. It's painful. It's unforgettable. If you're drawn to real stories that stay with you, subscribe now to Unbelievable True Story. Because every week, we reveal the darkest truths hidden in plain sight. Watch the next video on your screen, or dive into our full playlist of real crimes and mysteries. The next story might be about someone close to you.